Welcome to today's Q&A episode, and today's question is coming from Clinton. He actually has asked multiple questions, but this was the first question that he actually asked and he wanted to be featured on the episode today. And the question he was wondering was basically, how can you go about setting up an e-commerce website, or what things are required for all those other different things around that whole area of topic. Now, of course, e-commerce does vary into different categories, right? As there's different ways you can be able to set up an e-commerce website. And he also was wondering about the automation process and all those different things that go into building an e-commerce website. But today I'm only going to be covering how to choose the right e-commerce platform for your business. That's what we're going to title today's episode, okay? So Clinton, I hope you found me rephrasing your question, because I feel like it's best for us to start from this foundation before we get into the other advanced stuff, which I'll probably end up covering in the Side Hustle series episode, all right? So which platform to choose for your e-commerce business, for your online business? Which kind of platform do you want to choose? Now, I'm going to be covering three key ones, okay? I like putting things in three little simple steps, or three simple options. So the first one is going to be the largest one, which is Shopify. And then we're going to talk about other alternatives to Shopify. And then I'm going to talk about WordPress. And then we're going to talk about customized websites. So customized program from scratch, everything else, really not from scratch, but basically your own custom website and other different things like that. So the first thing is, I want to start off by talking about, since the audience that's going to be watching this video mostly is going to be from Africa, the first thing I want to talk about is, depending on your country, you're going to be using mobile payment, right? Now, I do know PesaPal, for example. PesaPal, I forgot which other companies out there provide APIs for you to add to your e-commerce website. So people can be able to purchase products as they usually do with PayPal or credit and debit card, but they can also pay with mobile payment. And I know they do support Tanzania, they do support Uganda, Ghana, they do support Kenya, of course, and I believe also Nigeria with MTN payments. I'm not sure too much about how MTN API system might work, but that's something you definitely want to research into before you end up choosing one of these platforms, okay? So the first one we're going to talk about is Shopify. Now, Shopify is the one I personally use for all my e-commerce websites, okay? But I will talk about, I do also use WordPress. But the reason why I recommend Shopify is because they basically have done everything for you, and they have been able to set things up in a way you can be able to convert in a very simple way. Now, the other big thing about Shopify is all the different applications that it comes with. So you can be able to find applications for reviews, you can find applications for editing images, you can find applications for increasing conversions, for marketing, and there's so many different ways you can be able to use Shopify. Now, the reason why I like Shopify is, of course, because it's very affordable, right? The only downside is maybe the fees. They do charge a 2.9% fee plus 30 cents for every transaction, and they also charge an extra 1% if you use PayPal or any other outside method of taking in payments, okay? But really, the fees are not too bad compared to all the different features and all the different support you get from Shopify. So number one, I highly recommend Shopify for businesses that are gonna be doing physical goods. Okay, physical goods. And I'm gonna talk about why you do not want to do digital goods on Shopify. But you can still do digital goods, like let's say, for example, downloading a file, an MP3, or a recipe for a PDF, or an ebook, whatever it might be. You can still use Shopify, but Shopify is very much good for physical goods and different things like that. So for me personally, Shopify is my #1 go-to platform for physical goods. So you can research more about that and see if that works well for you. Now, the second one I'm going to talk about is an alternative to Shopify, which is called Wix. Now, I started using Wix way earlier on, and personally for me, Wix is good because you're able to customize your website without really needing to get a person who has skills on Shopify to customize it for you. And the reason for that is because maybe when it comes to customizing a Shopify website, it might cost you $250 to hire a person or something like that. $250 to up to $1,000 depending on your range. It can even go down to $70 depending on what you need to edit. But the reason why I like Wix is because you're able to edit the website yourself, because it's kind of a very copy and paste, moving stuff around. But the downside is their e-commerce platform is not as strong as Shopify. So that's kind of the trade-off part of using Wix. So that's why sometimes it's better for you to use something like ClickFunnels, which is able to integrate with other different websites. For example, I do believe ClickFunnels does work with Shopify, or you can be able to create a ClickFunnels or a funnel and then have a person convert on Shopify. So that's another alternative you can be able to use compared to you having to conform to Wix. But highly recommend Shopify when it comes to physical goods. Now, the next part right here is going to be WordPress. Now, WordPress is something you can do for physical goods and also digital goods. Okay, but the reason why I like WordPress is because when I'm trying to customize a website, before I even talk about like hardcore coding and customized websites for your e-commerce experience, WordPress is the best because it creates a foundation for you to work on. You can find a lot of different WordPress applications, scripts, what they call them plugins, right? And other different things you can be able to use, but also scripts as far as templates and designs that you can be able to build foundation on. Now, personally, I do have one of my SaaS products, which is a subscription-based company where people subscribe for a monthly fee and then they're able to use the services. That's why I like WordPress for certain services like that. But when it comes to Shopify, I don't really use it for subscription-based services. It's not as strong, even though it does have those features there. But once again, Shopify is more a one-time payment. So you probably want to go with WordPress if you're trying to build a custom e-commerce experience, right? If you plan to outgrow Shopify, probably best for you to think about maybe you should start with WordPress. But also Shopify can also be customized. So when it comes to WordPress, it's more leaning towards digital goods. And that's what I use WordPress for when it comes to e-commerce. I use it for only digital goods. Right, so that's where you want to go to. Now, quick side note, if you plan to sell courses and stuff like that, probably not best to use Shopify or Wix, or you can use WordPress, but it's going to take a little bit more customization. Now, for that one, what you want to do is, I forgot what website it's called. I put it in the description in the comment below, but it's basically a website that works as an e-commerce, but it basically is able, actually, matter of fact, let me check my computer right now so I can just tell you. One sec. Yeah, okay, there we go. So the website itself is called Teachable, okay? So if you plan to sell any kind of digital courses or anything like that, Teachable is the #1 that you want to use when it comes to like courses and stuff like that. So WordPress, once again, digital goods, #1. And also when it comes to customization, more flexibility, definitely WordPress. But Shopify is more of a beginner place, right? Especially if you're doing physical goods. So make sure you don't confuse those two too much. Now the final part is probably going to be hard-coded websites. And I personally do not recommend this to anyone at all, okay? I don't even care if you're an advanced person who knows how to program, to a person who does not know how to program and you plan to hire developers. The reason why you do not want to develop your own e-commerce website from scratch, or let's say for example, you might be using a PHP script or whatever, is you're gonna face a lot of difficulties and you do not want to do that. If you're going to be doing a hard-coded website, it's probably maybe you're building your own custom application, a custom SaaS product that maybe you want to build out of, and even most SaaS applications you can build upon on WordPress. Now, this is what I'm saying, if you're going to be going the route of building your own custom site from scratch, it's probably not the best bet. I honestly don't think in this time and age we live in, you need to program something completely from scratch, because there's so many different applications that solve all those different problems you're gonna have in the beginning, and also security is gonna be a big issue. Trust me, I've had custom coded website where we ended up having a Chinese hack our website and change tags around and redirect them to a Chinese website. It took us a week to get the virus out. It ruined our SEO ranking on Google. The good thing is it didn't have any financial information. It was a small project I was working on, but trust me, hackers are still out there. They're not just targeting big companies, but they'll target anyone who's gonna be vulnerable. So when you use companies like, for example, WordPress or Shopify, you still need to think about security, but those websites, you're not hosting them on your own servers technically. They're kind of being pre-hosted. That's why Wix or Shopify is good for security-wise. And of course, WordPress, you can still get hacked, but you can be able to get updated on the latest versions of WordPress that do have security patches and other different things like that. So hard-coded website from scratch, I just don't even want to recommend that. I personally moved away from that unless I'm building a custom startup application. Like for example, if you're building an application like video chat or whatever it might be, that one of course you can't build it on, you can build it on WordPress, but probably not recommended. You might want to do Laravel or something else that can be able to work well in that framework. So to kind of go back full circle here, when it comes to starting your own e-commerce website, you have to choose you have to know what product you're going to be making, and you have to know the longevity of your company, where you plan to be in the future. And depending on where you want to plan to be in the future, it's probably going to help you know what the foundation you want to pick. Now personally, if you're doing physical goods, Shopify, hands down. But still, you can do physical goods on Wix, you can do physical goods on, for example, WordPress. But if you plan to do digital goods, WordPress, hands down. That's the top one I would probably want to go to. Now, if you plan to do both digital and physical goods, WordPress. Honestly, if you do Shopify, you're gonna need some customization. It's gonna get mixed up and mumbled up. Trust me, I've seen people try to do digital. I've done digital on Shopify. It does not work as well. It still does work, but it does require you to end up still getting a person to come in and do some custom coding. So really, you can, number one or number two, probably depending on what you choose, Shopify or WordPress is what you wanna go by, all right? Thank you very much for asking the question, Clinton. I hope I was able to answer your question. And if you do have any follow-up question, of course, I already know you have like 2 other follow-up questions. We'll get to that later in another episode. But thanks for watching. Peace out.